Now, as you look around, you'll find various objects. Now, all of them might look and be different, but still there's a common point. And it's the fact that they're all three dimensional. But what we see is always not the reality. And I'm talking about the possibility of higher dimensions. So let's dig deep. In 1980, Theodore Kaluza's paper had caused a wide stir. It was about adding Einstein's field equations in 5 dimensions. Now, these 5 dimensional equations not only gave back Einstein's equations for gravity but also gave Maxwell's equations for electromagnetism, which meant that by adding an extra dimension, Kaluza was able to unify gravity and electromagnetism. Now, Kaluza had assumed that, like ripples in water create shadows at the surface below it, similarly, fluctuations in these higher dimensions was something which we perceived as electromagnetic radiation or light. The Kaluza-Klein theory was later modified as string theory, which talks about elementary particles forming by specific vibrational patterns, frequencies, and mass of strings, claiming strings to be indivisible and fundamental. Now, string theory also tells us that by adding 6 spatial dimensions to the known 4 dimensions, we would be able to unify Yang-Mills field, which talks about strong and weak nuclear force, into gravitational and electromagnetic force. Hence, with 10 dimensions, the 4 known forces of the nature are unified. Now, the essential question would be that where exactly are these additional dimensions? Well, they're everywhere. Even when you wave your hand through space, your hand is actually moving through these additional dimensions, but just can't enter them because these dimensions are extremely small, having a diameter of about 10 to the power minus 30 centimeter, and they are curled up in the form of Calabi-Yau manifold. Now, it may sound complex, but it just means two things: that it's a 6 dimensional shape and it's present in every point in the 4 dimensional space-time continuum. Now, coming to the critical part, whether all of this could be experimentally proved. Well, one of the ways through which it could be done is by finding evidence to particles which could only exist if higher dimensions are real. The theory also suggests that, like atoms have low energy state and high energy state, there would be heavier versions of standard particles in other dimensions. Now, these heavier versions of the particles, called Kaluza-Klein states, would have exactly the same properties as those of the standard particles but would have a greater mass. Thus, finding a particle with many units of mass greater than that of the standard particle with the same properties would prove the possibility of higher dimensions. Now, all of this might lie beyond human intuition, but theories like this helps us to learn more about the universe and ultimately get to know about the mind of God.